Hey guys, this is Percentages Day 21. So this is our second day of using Unitary Method to work out percentage problems. So when we're using Unitary Method to work out percentage problems, what we're doing is we are usually given a part, or actually even more than a part, and then we want to use that to find the whole. So our goal really, when we're solving percentage problems using Unitary Method, is to solve for 100%. Okay, so that's going to be the third step in our Unitary Method. All right, let me show you what I mean. Let's start with our first problem here. So James saves $44 in June. He saves 10% more in June than in May. How much did he save in May? Okay. So he saved 10% more in June, right, than in May. So if we want to know how much he saved in May, that's going to be our 100%. Okay, so June's going to be 110%, and we know that that was equal to $44. So let's set that up using Unitary Method. 110% equals $44. 1% equals 44 over 110, and we're going to solve for 100% for May, which is going to equal 44 over 110 times 100 over 1. Again, when I'm doing these percentage problems, you guys, I'm not going to solve this fraction in step 2, because when we end up multiplying by 100 over 1, usually there is some cross-canceling we can do to make our life easier. So, for example, let's cross-cancel those zeros right there. Now I've got 44 over 11, which is a nice number to cross-cancel, right? Because I can put a 1 here and I can put a 4 up here. Now I've just got 4 times 10, or let's write it like this, 4 over 1 times 10 over 1. I'm going to continue that up here. 4 times 10 is 40. 1 times 1 is 1. So 100% equals $40. So $40 is what James saved in May. Okay, Mary has 180 books. She has 10% fewer books than John. How many books does John have? So if we're going to solve for John, we'll let John have 100%. And let's see, let's give Mary a graph like that. And since she has 10% fewer, let's give John a slightly larger graph, but she has 180 books. John's going to have our 100%. That means that Mary has 90% because she has 10% fewer, remember? How many books does John have? Okay, so 90% is going to be 180 books. So 1% is 180 over 90. We're going to solve for 100%. And that's going to be 180 over 90 times 100 over 1. Let's cross cancel. How about here to start? Okay, so now we have 18 divided by 9. So obviously we can cross cancel that 9, make that a 1, make that 18 a 2. And now we have 2 times 100. That's easy enough to figure out, isn't it? And we're left with 200 books, which is how many John had. Okay, in a school, 40% of the teachers are male. There are 18 more female teachers than male teachers. How many teachers are there total? Okay, on your notes, I believe you have something written like this, where you have a ruler, and then you have a bar underneath, and another bar underneath that. So let's just take a look at what this means. I'm going to redraw this one. There we go. Okay, so we're going to call this ruler up here 100%. And let's just take this word problem step by step. It says that 40% of the teachers are male. Okay, let's mark this 40%. So we're going to call this graph male, and we're going to call this graph female. And then it says there are 18 more female teachers than male. So obviously, if 40% of the teachers are male, then 60%, oh, that doesn't quite line up, does it? It should, though, so let's make it right. Okay, 60% of the teachers are female. And then it says that there are 18 more female teachers than male. Okay, so you guys, what's the difference between the percentage of males and the percentage of females? If females have 60% and males have 40%, the difference is 20%, right? So that 20% is going to equal 18 female teachers. All right, so that's what we're going to solve for. And then we want to know how many teachers are there total. So we're still solving for 100%. Okay, so 1% is going to equal 18 over 20. And we're going to solve for 100%. So that's going to be 18 over 20 times 100 over 1. And we'll cross cancel here. Let's take that down to a 1, and let's make that a 5. And now we have 100% is, so we had 100%, I'm up here guys, is 18 times 5, and that equals 90, so 100% equals 90 teachers. So you guys can see how we can pick apart these word problems, and they can seem really complicated, but once we start drawing models and just doing things one piece at a time, they really aren't that complicated, are they? All right, the next one says, at a parking lot, 80% of the spaces are for cars, 8% are for buses, and the rest are for motorcycles. If there are 24 spaces for motorcycles, how many spaces are there for buses? All right, so here's my 100%. That's my entire parking lot. And it says that 80% are for cars, 8% are for buses, and the rest are for motorcycles. Let's figure out how much we need for motorcycles. 80 plus 8 is 88, so let's subtract that from 100, and of course we're going to get 12. So 12% is for motorcycles. And then it says there are 24 spaces for motorcycles. Okay, so we can solve for there. 12% is 24 motorcycles. So 1% is going to equal 24 over 12. Now let's just think for a second. Are we solving for 100%? Because the question says how many spaces are there for buses? So in this particular problem, we're not solving for 100%. We normally are, but not in this case. So we're actually going to solve for 8%. And let's see, let's just divide 24 by 12. That's going to be 2. So we are going to multiply both sides by 8. We have 2 times 8. And 8% is going to equal 16 spaces allotted for buses. Okay, 900 people went to the movies on Saturday. This was 20% more than the number of people at the movies on Friday. How many moviegoers were there on Friday? So let's draw our bar graph. So we've got, let's see, let's draw 100% here because we had 130% of the people show up on Saturday. Oh, not 130, sorry, 120. Okay, so that was the amount of people that came on Saturday, so that's 900 people. And we want to know how many people showed up on Friday, right? So We're going to solve for, we're going to assign 120% to 900. And then divide both sides by 120 and solve for 100%. And let's see, why don't we divide 120 and 100 by 20. And so we'll get 6 here, and we'll get 5 up there. And then if we divide 900 by 6, we can cross cancel here again. Divide 900 by 6, and we're going to get 150. And so now, let's continue this up here. 100% is 150 times 5. Which is going to equal 750 people. And that's reasonable. 750 people seems like it could be a little bit less than 900 if there was 120% equaling to 900. So I think we're good with that. All right, this is a really fun one. And you guys, this is kind of a challenge problem. So you guys should stop the video and just give this one a try on your own and come back and see if you were right. Ed spent 20% of his money on a book and 25% of the remainder on a game, and he had $150 left. How much money did he have at first? Okay, guys, so let's take this, pick this one apart a little bit. So if he spent 20% of his money in a book, he had 80% of his original chunk left, right? Then he went and he spent 25% of that remainder on a book, and he had $150 left. Well, if he spent 25% of his remainder on a book, he had 75% of his remainder left. So that 75% is what we're going to deal with to start. So let's solve for 100% of his remainder. Okay, so 75% is $150. So 1% is 150 over 75. And 100% is going to be, if I just simplify 150 over 75, I'm going to be at 2 times 100, which is $200. Okay, so this remainder is 200. All right, guys, I paused the video and went and shut the door. I don't know if I could hear it, but Gigi was singing pretty loud in the background there. Don't tell her I said that. Okay, so the remainder was $200, which means that this portion up here is $200. So now we can use Unitary Method and solve for the original amount. So we're going to say 80%, is $200. All right, you guys, I went ahead and finished off this problem for you because it was, my pen was freaking out so bad that I couldn't get it to work. But I think we stopped at having figured out that the remainder equaled $200. So you can see that on my bar graph up here. So 80% equals $200. So if we solve for 1%, we've got 200 over 80, and I'm over here. And then we solve for 100%, which is our original amount, and we get 200 over 80 times 100 over 1. And if we solve that math, we're going to get that 100% equals $250. So Ed originally had $250. All right, that's it for day 21.